What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the It's Game Time podcast. This is episode number 41. My name is Jet, and with me, as always, is my co-host Eric. Eric, how you doing today?
Long day, and not over after this, but I'm still gonna bring the energy for the Eric stands. Episode 41 is the Dirk Nowitzki, and right before we recorded, I was like, he definitely has a nickname. He definitely has a nickname, and it's the Dunking Deutschman, which is just translates to the Dunking German man. The dunk, yeah, well, that's odd. The translation
That
in
is.
English.
We didn't realize that before we got on here, but that's what it translates to, I guess.
And then I also came up with my own nickname for him, the European Fader, because of his iconic fade shot that is renowned all across the NBA.
Yeah, I'm surprised that one has never been used before because I've never heard that before you said it. So that's another nickname we can add to that list that we found.
Absolutely. I'm gonna go on after this. I'm gonna go on Wiki and add that to one of his infamous nicknames. I think he has like 5, but the Dunking Deutschman is definitely the most iconic one out of the ones that have been established by, I'm assuming, fellow NBA players.
Definitely, yeah, probably most likely his teammates or other people close to him. He probably got one of he might have even gotten, actually, yeah, there's probably other ones he had as a child too, but we obviously don't know those. But those were definitely some good nicknames for sure.
Yeah, but it is we're not really gonna talk basketball this week because it's Super Bowl week. It's a big deal and stuff like that. But before we even get to that, though, we talk all about the Super Bowl because that's the only thing really going on. I mean, the NBA is in the regular season, and so it's just the regular season. The MLB is still in lockout mode, and it seems like it's going to stay in lockout mode till the middle of September now. So before we talk about the NFL, we got to go over and bringing back Instagram polls, which also talk about the NFL.
Yeah, well, I mean, last week we took It's Game Time trivia out of the time capsule. Now we're going back into it again, and we're pulling out the Instagram polls, which we haven't really done much because during the NFL season we just had our weekly It's Game Time NFL Pick'em contest. But the polls are back, and we have a few good ones to cover based off of what we talked about last week with our special guest Jaden. This first poll is a very controversial one, but the answers are all leaning in one direction. On the show, Jaden and I kind of proposed a question to Jaden: is this Patrick Mahomes' last? Did he already win his only Super Bowl ring? He agrees under that sentiment, and he put it in words. He thinks that Patrick Mahomes will only go down in his career as winning one Super Bowl. The heavy majority of people disagreed. 12 people said that he is going to win another Super Bowl, while 3, both 2 members of the Rosenstein family and Jaden himself, said that he is not going to win another Super Bowl. Eric, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
I mean, obviously, I'm pretty sure if I voted, well, I mean, I made it clear during the podcast episode that I think he would win at least one more, and maybe that was it. So people had pretty much the entire field left. So I get having 12 people going in favor of him winning at least one more Super Bowl. Now, if it were like the multiple choice question of how many more do you think he would win, that's interesting to see. Because if I don't know how many people out of those 12 would say he'll win 2 more rings. Hell, 3 more wins. Sorry. I feel like the majority may have gone out of those 12 would have been he'll just win one more ring.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with him, we talked about it a lot on the last episode, is with the whole money thing. Obviously, he's going to get paid a bunch more in the coming years, and guys like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill may not be there alongside him while they could get, suitable replacements, those guys are going to be very hard to replace. He's definitely on that Russell Wilson type path of not being able to get it done in the playoffs. Obviously, Mahomes has had a ton of success individually, statistically, but it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, especially with how good the AFC is getting.
Yes, absolutely. What's another poll that we put out there last week?
This other one was another lopsided question. The question was, will Aaron Rodgers be a Packer next year? 15 of the 18 votes said he will not be a Packer. The only 3 that said he will are one of our former guests, Aaron Malloy, our good friend Jack Hagan, and then another fan of the show, Josh Luther. Eric, you also voted no, that Rodgers will not be a Packer. Where do you think he'll be?
Again, with why I see it as the majority is that because everyone else had the entire field, they had 31 other teams, and then add on retirement also would remove him from being a Packer this upcoming season, the 2022 season. I just do not see it. I think that he will be going. I'm really liking Denver for him. I really am. I do see that. I'm trying to think. I mean, now San Fran, maybe if they really want to go in win now mode, they could just give them Jimmy Garoppolo so that they have a stopgap. The Packers have a stopgap QB and find out if Jordan Love is the answer or not.
Yeah.
So I mean, I top choice, top guess. If I were to put money on the bet, and I would like to see those odds actually. I feel like those have come out recently. But I would go with Denver.
Yeah, I mean, you love your star quarterbacks going to the 49ers, it seems. Obviously, the first one.
Let's see what happens with Brady now. Just 1 year out, and he may not want to. He may miss the throwing the pigskin around.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, we'll talk about Tom Brady a little later on because he did say some things that maybe opens up the possibility that he returns. But before we get to that, let's finish off this talk with Rodgers. You mentioned the odds of where he might end up. Vegas did release those odds, and right now the teams at the top are the Packers and Broncos are tied with the highest odds to get Aaron Rodgers, followed by the Steelers, Dolphins, and Raiders.
I don't see your Dolphins doing that. No. I think I don't see them trading a lot of assets to go and get him right now because they're also in they're a promising young team. It's just worrying about whether or not this new head coach that's come in would mend well with Aaron if they were to trade for Aaron Rodgers, because we've seen that he has had a history of not really making connections with the head coach. The Steelers are not. I don't even think they have really many assets to trade away without completely ruining their future post Aaron Rodgers, because you're kind of trading for him for maybe 2 to 3 years. And that's it. And then you said the Raiders, correct?
Correct, yeah.
The Raiders would be interesting. I just think that they have a quality QB in Derek Carr that has shown that he can get you to the playoffs. Now they have Josh McDaniels as head coach, so maybe even Derek Carr can improve even more this coming year.
The reason I think the Raiders are so high on this list is because of the reports that Devontae Adams wants to play in Las Vegas. It could be the potential thing. I know Adams wants to play with his former college teammate in Derek Carr, but it could possibly be the thing where maybe Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams decide to team up in summer Las Vegas. I don't see that happening. My initial thought was that, like you said, that Aaron Rodgers is going to be a Denver Bronco, but I could see that Aaron Rodgers is going to say that he may not want to play there with how competitive that division is going to be. I think the Steelers would be a perfect fit for them, but I don't think that's the route they're going to go. I feel like my gut feeling tells me that they are going to ride with a Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins, or maybe even draft someone else in this upcoming draft, even though they are a suitable quarterback away. But I just don't think they want to, spend excess capital on a potential future quarterback. I have changed my tune. I do believe, after, even though I voted no for this question, I believe Aaron Rodgers will stay a Packer for one final season. After hearing what Jaden had to say last week and just thinking about it a little bit more, I know it's going to be hard to keep him and Adams, but I have a feeling that Rodgers will not stay with the Packers.
All right. Do we have another Instagram poll at all?
Yeah, we have a few more we'll get to. This also is another Packer. We just talked about him a little bit. Devontae Adams, will he be a Packer next year?
What was the numbers?
It was a little bit closer. So 12 people said no, 7 people said yes.
I gotta lean again. I'm leaning with the no. Mainly, if you want to be correct on this question, you get the whole field again. But I'm just thinking, I don't see how the Packers could justify paying this guy. I just don't see how they could justify it at all. Because I get Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a lot of talent at the playmaking positions, but it's because you're spending a load of your salary cap on one individual skill player. It's really hard to find other ones to like complement him when he's taken up pretty much 2 salaries worth of 2 good top high end quality wide receivers or a running back.
Yeah, I don't see Adams staying. The only way I would see him staying, obviously, if Rodgers stays, but then he would have to take a pay cut, and I just do not see him doing that. He wants his money. He deserves his money. I think it's going to be very telling where Adams goes based off of wherever Rodgers goes. Obviously, it's going to be very hard for the two of them to stay in Green Bay, but my feeling is that Adams will not be a Packer next year. I could see him definitely going to a team like the Raiders, especially if Derek Carr is still their quarterback.
No, yeah, absolutely not. I just don't see it.
Final question we'll get to. This one is pretty close to me. Will Brian Flores be a coach in the NFL once again? Obviously, all the coaching spots are closed for this coaching cycle. But in this question, 17 of the 24 people think he will get another job. Eric, what do you think?
He deserves another job. What sucks is he may have since this like lawsuit and everything that's come out, he may get like blacklisted from the league, similar to Colin Kaepernick and what happened with him. 2 different situations, but I fear that Brian Flores could receive the same treatment as a result of this lawsuit, and owners may just be spiteful because of it. But he deserves a coaching job, and I really hope that he gets one in next year's candidacy options.
Yeah, no doubt he deserves another chance to be a head coach. However, it's tough for him to get it was really tough for him to get a coaching job after this lawsuit came out. My inclination was that the Texans were going to hire him as their head coach before this lawsuit came out. That's why they kind of had to scramble something together, and they just decided to promote someone that was already in the building, and Lovie Smith. It's going to be very tough for Brian Flores to get any sort of position in the NFL, and that's just the way the NFL works. He's more than deserving of it, but unfortunately, we might have seen his only shot as coach in the NFL.
Yes, but great, a lot of responses.
Yeah, people were excited for the polls to come back.
I know, and I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you guys so much for doing that. But now, let's forget about all the other teams that are out sitting home at the couch or chilling in Cancun, because it's Super Bowl time, and it is the Rams that are technically, I guess, the away team.
Yeah, some reason, just because of I think it's record wise. I think that's how they do it.
Maybe.
No, it can't be, because the Rams are 12-5 and the Bengals are 10-7. So
yeah. But they're home. They're the home team. It's the second straight year where the host team ended up making it to the Super Bowl. Really odd before 50 plus years of not having it happen once. Now it's happened back to back seasons. And they're taking on the Bengals, who are technically the home team, but really the away team. Rams were seen as getting here in the preseason. Bengals were seen as being at the bottom of their own division, near the bottom of their own conference, and near the bottom possibly of the entire league. And yet here they are, one of two standing left, and they're one game away from being at the top of the league.
Yeah, and just like this whole NFL season has played out, most people should have expected that we would have had a weirder Super Bowl matchup than normal. It's just been the nature of the season. Obviously, both of these teams got hot at the right time. You got a two teams that were in the wild card round and didn't even have a bye. Obviously, the Titans and Packers did not fail to get to the Super Bowl, both number 1 seeds. But right now, Vegas has the Rams favored by 4 points in this game, which could be expected. One, because they are playing in their home stadium, and two, on paper, they are the better team. But all throughout these playoffs, the Bengals have not been the better team than the team they were playing at for the most part. And they continue to, prove people wrong, put the narrative of no experience to bed. That was my biggest concern with them. And
yeah, mine too.
And your guy, Joe Burrow, has really led this team.
Who is Joe Burrow? Who is that?
Joey Burrow?
Yeah, sure. That's one of his infamous names that he goes by. I like to call him Joe Shiesty or Joey Franchise, because this man brought this franchise back from the goddamn dead. And you know what a famous quote from Andy Reid said? He said, when it's looking grim, you got to be the Grim Reaper. And that's what Joe Burrow has done with this organization. It was looking grim, especially after his knee injury in his rookie season, and obviously so because their offensive line was awful. But man, did they just come back firing. I mean, Joe Burrow looked like he never even injured his knee. I mean, you could see that from taking 9 sacks against the Titans and then just continuously getting hit throughout the playoffs. And now he's here, and he's probably going to get hit more in this game because he has to go against arguably one of the top defensive linemen in the history of the NFL in Aaron Donald. And let's not forget, a compliment to Aaron Donald is that he has on the other side of the line Von Miller, Super Bowl 50 MVP.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough test for Joe Burrow and this Bengals team. But the thing that I want to talk about is I want to mention some players that we both think need to stand out or could potentially fall in the spotlight. Eric will be covering the Bengals for this topic, and I will be covering the Rams. So let's start off with a player that needs to be sort of that X factor player or a player that needs to stand out. Eric, do you have someone in mind for the Bengals?
For the Bengals, I mean, there's a lot of options to choose from. I mean, you obviously have Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty. I mean, you have Jamar Chase. You have T. Higgins. You have Tyler Boyd. I mean, you got a lot of people to choose from here. And let's not forget also Joe Mixon. I think that's the guy that needs to get to do his role. I think Joe Burrow will do just fine. I think Jamar Chase is going to do just fine. I think T. Higgins is going to do just fine. I think Tyler Boyd is going to do just fine because they have Joe Burrow. It's Joe Mixon. That's the X factor I see for the Bengals. If they can have a solid run game, or if Joe Mixon can get open in the flat for Joe Burrow to possibly dump it down because he is going to get pressured in this game and make some extra yards after the catch, that's important for the Bengals. That's what they need to do. I'm not saying that your game plan needs to be around Joe Mixon, but you need to make sure that Joe Mixon plays his game. I see that he does good outside the numbers. I don't see him I just can't see him doing well if you're running it up the gut against Aaron Donald in that Rams front. You got to get them out wide with some pitches or just some run plays that just bring them out wide, or just move them out to the flats, and so you can just dump it down and let him do his thing. So that's who I have as like the X factor that needs to show up if the Bengals want to win the Super Bowl.
And it's especially hard when you have an offensive line like the Bengals do. It's especially hard to run up the middle alongside Aaron Donald and Von Miller coming at you as well. So that's a great pick right there. I'm going to stick with the running back theme for the Los Angeles Rams. All three running backs are expected to be available for this one, but so far in this playoffs, we've seen Cam Akers really capture the large part of the workload, and he returned after missing the start of the season due to an Achilles injury. And he looks back and he's had his moments, but he has also had some issues holding on to the ball. And like every good team, in order to be successful in a game, you need to be able to establish the run. And I think if the Rams can establish the run and Cam Akers can be productive, I think that's going to really help their chances at winning this game. Obviously, we know Cooper Kupp's going to show up. When has he not shown up this season? For the most part, Matthew Stafford has been on his game. Odell Beckham has been a solid addition. Not really too worried about the other two running backs, and Sony Michel and Darrell Henderson. They know their roles and they'll be productive. But the biggest question mark, and the guy that I think really needs to stand out and kind of shake off all the rust that is shaken off throughout the playoffs, I'm looking for Cam Akers to have a really big game in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I see. I mean, we both pick running backs. You have to have, especially in this game, because it's all about possession. All right, you can score as many points, but who comes down to having the last possession? And you having a good run game makes sure that you are controlling the clock. Passing, you can score a touchdown in 13 seconds if it's all passing. But running, you can milk the clock for 13 minutes.
Exactly.
If you really wanted to. So a run game is very important in this game. And both of these running backs, the top end running backs for each of their teams, they need to show out for this game. But Jet, what is a player that you see that may the spotlight may be a little too big for him?
Yeah, this is a tough one, because the thing about this Rams team is a lot of these guys have already been to this game. Obviously they were in the Super Bowl a few years back against the Patriots. A lot of guys, this is going to be their first Super Bowl. Guys like Matthew Stafford, Cam Akers, OBJ. But I'm not going to go through any of those names, because I feel like all of those guys are going to be fine under the spotlight. A guy that not a lot of people are probably going to be talking about for an answer to this question, but my answer is going to be kicker Matt Gay. We've seen at time we've seen throughout the playoffs at times, especially in that game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where after a strong regular season where he was on the mark each and every game, he left a couple kicks short. And it's not like they were 55+ yard kicks. I believe one of the kicks was like a 47-yard kick. And obviously he had some great moments when he hit the game-winning field goal against the 49ers against the Bucs to win that game.
To send Brady into retirement.
Yeah, we got to give him credit, especially because that was against his former team that cut him. And he has had his moments all throughout the season. But for a guy that's going to be playing in his first Super Bowl under the spotlight, on the other side of the field, you got Evan McPherson, who's not afraid of anything. Matt Gay has his work cut out for him.
I don't know why I didn't pick Evan McShooter, as I like to call him, as my X factor, because this man has ice. He is just ice in his veins, man. I may have to. No, I'll stick with.
I was surprised you didn't go that direction, because that's a very plausible way to go for that question before.
I know. A guy that I think the spotlight may just be too big for, and I know I said that he may get his and stuff like that, but I'm just a little worried. I'm a little worried about T. Higgins. I'm not worried about Jamar Chase. I think he'll just do his thing. He's obviously Joe Burrow's #1 target. since coming to the Bengals and when they were together at LSU for a short period. It's T. Higgins. He is the second option, and I'm just feeling that they're gonna ISO Jalen Ramsey on Jamar Chase. All right, I think it's gonna be a good battle. I think Ramsey's gonna get his, and I think Chase is gonna get his. But then I think they're really gonna try to eliminate T. Higgins. I think that they're going to limit him because they're like, I just feel that they're just going to cut him out of the playbook. The Rams defense gonna be like, we trust Ramsey against Chase. Let's just blanket T. Higgins and let's make Joe Burrow go to Tyler Boyd, the third option, some would say. So it may not be that he's gonna get too scared, but maybe that he just is not going to even get a chance to show out for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and him, like so many other players on this Bengals team, it's going to be their first time in a Super Bowl. Obviously, the pressure in the playoffs is one thing, but the pressure in the Super Bowl is a whole nother ball game, and that's definitely a valid selection for someone that could not show out in the spotlight, fall under pressure. But now we are going to get to our predictions, bold predictions, and score predictions for this game. Eric, I'll start off with you. You can give me your prediction against the spread and straight up, and then tell me why you believe that team is going to win.
Against the spread. Oh, the spread pick's coming back, so I got to go against what I actually think. Is the reverse strategies making its appearance once again after taking a few weeks off? The Rams are favored by 4 points. Obviously, they're the home team. Many people see them as the better team. And I don't think they're going to cover that. I truly don't. So, in nice fashion, give me the Rams to cover. Straight up pick, though, I'm going with the Bengals. I'm going with the team that has just continually proved people wrong. And I think Joey Franchise, I think he's going to have himself a game. And I think the Bengals, man, like, how can you not root for the Bengals in the Super Bowl? They've been there only once before, when, the 80s, the 70s?
It's been a while. We were not around then, I'll tell you that.
Not around then. If we weren't even an idea of being around then.
No.
But how can you not cheer for the team that has the potential to win its first franchise Super Bowl? So, of course, give me the Bengals to win.
Give me a score prediction.
Score prediction. I'm going to go 28-23.
Okay. I like it. This is, for me, this is a really tough game to pick. You could really go either way here. For the Bengals side of things, I've really counted them out in every game in these playoffs. And I know if I do it again, it'll just come back to haunt me. But on the Rams side, you got a team that if they don't get it done this year, they may never get it done again. And the thing about the Bengals is I have a very good feeling that they will be back. And I don't know if I can say the same about the Rams. Obviously, they don't have a first round pick until 2024, and they've gone all in with some of the moves they made this year. I want the Bengals to win, but who I think will win, I think the Rams will win this game. However, I do not think they cover. I think they potentially win by a field goal or even by a point, actually. The reasons why I think the Rams are going to win this game, I don't think the pressure is going to be too much for Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I just think the Rams are going to play a much better game than this team. Obviously, the Rams have a much better defense than the Bengals, and I think they could cause Joe Burrow some issues when we're talking about pressure. If the Rams bring the same amount of pressure the Titans did, obviously the Bengals did win that game, but Matthew Stafford is not Ryan Tannehill. Matthew Stafford is not going to throw a bunch of picks. Matthew Stafford has been on his game for these playoffs, and his legacy is really on the line in this game. One Super Bowl ring is the difference between him being a thought about potentially being a Hall of Famer and potentially a close to a guarantee of being a Hall of Famer. Just with this one Super Bowl ring, rings are pretty much everything. There's a lot of guys on both teams that are hungry to win, but I think that the Los Angeles Rams will win this game 31-28.
31-28. That infamous 28 number is coming out. Now, Jet, I gotta hear a bold prediction that you have for this game. Something that is just like, what, Jet? What are you talking about? Stop. Just stop.
Yeah, so obviously I think it's going to be a relatively high scoring game in this one. There's so many directions you can go here with being bold, because I love being bold, and I could, say something bold like the national anthem is going to be like the longest national anthem ever, but that's not exciting, and that's not about the game. But the direction I'm going to go is that both actually all three of these players are going to have more than 100 yards from scrimmage. Odell Beckham Jr., Cooper Kupp, and Cam Akers will have 100+ yards.
Wow, so just three players alone are going to get around 300+ yards for the Rams offense, and that's not including anybody else is gonna get a catch or gonna get rushing attempts.
I don't think there will be many other catches. I think Matthew Stafford's going to target, obviously, Cooper Kupp, and he's really started to like to target Odell. And I think after a mostly rough playoffs for Cam Akers, I think he's able to attack the Bengals on the ground.
All right. Ooh. I'm thinking about my bold prediction. Obviously, I'm going to go the Bengals route because I believe in the Who Dey Bengals. I'm going to say that Tyler Boyd is going to catch 2 touchdowns in this game.
Okay.
I think that's pretty bold. I'm guessing that T. Higgins is not going to have a good game. I'm thinking that Jamar Chase is going to get maybe a touchdown. But I'm saying Tyler Boyd is going to I'll say this. I'll change this. Tyler Boyd is going to get the most targets.
Okay.
Is going to get the most targets.
That's bold, and it's very logical too. It is.
The most targets out of him, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins, and Joe Mixon.
Okay. I like it. We love being bold on this show. That's one of our mantras. But before we wrap up our Super Bowl preview, obviously Eric has the Bengals winning, so we'll leave it off here. If the Cincinnati Bengals win, what color Gatorade will be poured on Zach Taylor?
Oh my God, the orange. It has to be orange. How could it not be orange? If it's not orange, that's just disrespectful.
I'm gonna go along that same thinking. If the Rams win, I think it'll be blue Gatorade.
Absolutely.
I think it will. But it's not always that, though. We've seen like clear Gatorade. We've seen yellow for a team that's like red. I mean, it's not always cut and dry like that.
Oh, come on. The NFL has to be smarter than that and just give them the specific Gatorade correlated to their team colors. It's just aesthetically pleasing with whoever's team wins. So, yeah, I'm definitely going orange for the Bengals. And if the Rams win, it's going to be blue. It's going to be blue.
Definitely. And that, along with, there's so many other very interesting Super Bowl prop bets, like pertaining to the national anthem, pertaining to the halftime show, and more. So go ahead.
I was listening to something, and they were talking about prop bets for the NFL, the Super Bowl. And they were saying there was a plus 1,800 bet that there would just be, and the bet just said this, there would be an octopus.
What? And where? Just like on the field,
just an octopus. It's not specific. They said it was just an octopus is what was listed as the bet. Take that bet. I guarantee that there's going to be an octopus in the Super Bowl. Maybe
in the halftime show.
maybe, I don't know if it's in a commercial. I think that should be counted. If
Yeah.
it's in the stands, I definitely see that as a possibility. But there will be an
I
octopus.
I gotta be honest now. I might lose total focus on the game, and I just might be looking for an octopus the whole time now.
If the game gets ugly, either way, that's all I'm watching for. And I'm gonna tell everyone with whoever I'm watching with, um, that just look out for an octopus and let me know, please.
All right, let's get to our final segment of the show. We told you we would talk about him on the last show, and we're gonna talk about him today. Tom Brady looks like he is going to be retired from the National Football League. Obviously, there's some reports saying that he could potentially return. That'll go to a team like the 49ers if he does return. But what are your thoughts, Eric, on the career of Tom Brady if this is the end?
If this is the end, I hope it is the end. I don't think it would be good if he were to come back. I just really don't. Taking a year off of football, even for Tom Brady, would make a big difference in this play, I would assume. The career for Tom Brady is without a doubt arguably one of the best careers in all of sports history. I mean, being picked 199, and it's a lot of talent. What is it? Luck favors the skilled, the hardworking, or however that quote is. And Tom Brady is also arguably one of the hardest working athletes of all time, and some luck has favored him. For example, Drew Bledsoe getting injured. We may not have ever met or known about Tom Brady if Drew Bledsoe didn't get injured, because during, I think, the first year, in which he got injured, he just signed a massive contract with the Patriots. So that's a little bit of luck, and then some luck in the playoffs and stuff like that. But he took advantage of the opportunities that were given to him. He didn't let it go to waste. So it's not like, oh, he just got dumb luck every time. No, he took advantage of the lucky opportunities that the universe, the NFL gods gave him. But he was also sometimes unlucky. I mean, with Eli Manning twice and with Nick Foles twice. But some of them, arguably both of those matchups against Eli Manning and Nick Foles, weren't on him. He did all he could. I mean, he said against Nick Foles, he set a NFL Super Bowl record for passing yards and still somehow lost. But this man is the GOAT. Can be in the conversation. I wouldn't consider him to be the greatest athlete of all time, but you can make an argument for him in that conversation.
Definitely. And for me, being a Dolphins fan, having to watch him compete in my division all these years, it's great to finally see his career finally wrapping up. I did, however, enjoy his career in Tampa much more than I did in New England. But he definitely talked about the luck factor a little bit. Obviously, people like to point out that in a lot of his Super Bowls, a lot of things just went his way when you're talking about the 28-3 comeback or other things like that. But on the other end, there was times, like you mentioned, where luck didn't go his way. The Philly play, both Giants Super Bowls. So he has really he ever since he started his career in the NFL, from seeing that image of him at the combine looking like he is about to work at an internship for a accounting firm or something like that. He worked hard, and he's probably one of the smartest athletes we will probably ever see. He's definitely up there. Obviously, he doesn't have the gifted talent like a lot of these guys come into the league, but he he has really shown that it can be done from where he was drafted. Obviously, he's one of those really few outliers, but he is a special player. And Eric, my other question to you would be, if you had to come up with one word to describe Tom Brady's career, what would that be?
That's tough. That's really tough. Hmm. One word. That's very. Do you have a word in mind
I
already?
do have a word in mind. I
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, For me, I think the perfect word to describe his career is just legendary. Like he's gonna go down as a legend, and obviously he's gonna be a first ballot Hall of Famer. There's no doubt about that. But uh, besides the NFL, where I believe he is the best quarterback to ever play the game, he is one of the best athletes to ever play pro sports. And considering his story is legendary. Not like you could look at LeBron James's story coming out of high school. He was expected, and obviously not on this level, but he was expected to be really good. Tom Brady's story is a lot different, and he's a legend.
How I would describe his, I came up with a word. Describe Tom Brady's career is, I would say, undefinable. Undefinable of the feats that he conquered. We, I mean, we both did not get to see Michael Jordan play in his prime. So we have to go off the words of what people say. And we move it back to even Wilt Chamberlain. People talk about Wilt Chamberlain as the greatest of all time, and some like people that were alive during that time, and a lot of people would be like, just his athletic ability. Wilt Chamberlain was just undefinable, like what he was doing. And when because we experienced his entire career, we may have been a little young when he first started, but we experienced it, and it's hard to define how the stats can show, but just in words, it's hard to define how great this man was. But we were able to experience it with our own eyes, not through stats and not through words in the future, but we got to experience it through feelings of despair, of happiness for some people, and sometimes feelings cannot be described. So I would have to go like undescribable in a great sense for Tom Brady.
Awesome. Yeah. And honestly, this kind of closes the book. It's starting to close the book on a great generation of quarterbacks that we saw. Philip Rivers, Drew Brees, Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers will be soon, obviously. Matt Ryan is another one that'll probably on his way out. So obviously we're fortunate to have a great group of up and coming quarterbacks on the way. So we're still going to be very spoiled going forward, but just for an era that we were growing up in, for these guys emerging out of their various teams, it's definitely a monumental point in NFL and sports history for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm happy. I am happy he did retirement because he now gets to spend time with his family. He's putting his family first. He's giving back to them now after they were able to give so much to him throughout his career and let him play for so long. I hope, though, I do hope that he is satisfied with retirement.
Definitely. And my only thing is, before we get out of here, do you think it's ever possible we see him in either a coaching role or a broadcast position?
No, for those, absolutely not. I just think I do not see him. I mean, you just gotta if you want to try to predict what Brady's gonna do, you just look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan didn't do broadcasting. He didn't. I don't believe he did coaching. Did he do coaching? No.
No.
I mean, he is part-time a part-time owner of the Hornets, but I mean, he still isn't extremely involved in the Hornets organization. I really hope he's happy with his decision, because if he's not, I don't. I mean, I would love to be correct on my bold prediction that he somehow ends up on the 49ers, but I hope he doesn't, and I hope he is very satisfied and he finds content with leaving football permanently, because I I know even just through playing baseball for a while, it can be a difficult transition because it took up such a large portion of your life. And for him, compared to me, his is tenfold. I mean, he played since he was probably 6 years old until he was 44. That's your first and probably biggest love of his life, football, is now gone, in the sense like of being in the locker room, studying the film, the game day type stuff. That's all going to be gone. And I'm really hoping that he's able to find find retirement. He's content in retirement and is able to successfully move past that and on to the next chapter in his life. And I think he will. I don't envision him coming back out of retirement like Michael Jordan did, because I see it similar. If he were to come out of retirement, I see it similar in the sense of Michael Jordan. Like no one, it wasn't pleasing to see Michael Jordan in a Wizards uniform.
Yeah, 100%. I think he'll be just fine after. Obviously, it's going to be a tough adjustment at first, but obviously he has a great support system in his family, and he does have multiple businesses that he has started and is a part of, like his TB12 brand. So I think he will be just fine in the long run. But Eric, anything else to add before we get out of here?
Man, I hope the MLB can more
Figure it out.
figure it out. How about the owners stop screwing over the players for once and just be fair? Damn,
Yeah.
is it too much to ask? I hope the players get what they want. I hope they hold out. I know it's tough for the players to do so because there's some players that are like getting a minimum base salary, and like that's their living is being able to make that. And if the season keeps getting pushed off, the potential of the season getting pushed off and them not being able to make money for their family is in threat, then that's what probably the owners are betting on, that those players force the union's hand. But I hope the union sticks together. It's been said that they're the most unified that they've ever been since they've gotten screwed back in 2016 and back during COVID 2020. So I'm hoping that the union is able to get what they want. I hope both sides get what they want, but I really hope the union is able to, I guess, have the better end of the deal this go around.
Obviously, yeah, we both want a season, but we want it to be done on fair terms, especially for the players who have not been as well compensated as they should have been. It's looking like we're headed for a delay potentially into the season, but hopefully it gets resolved sooner than later.
I wouldn't mind. Like, I wouldn't mind a less games
Mhm.
in the season. I don't think the players would mind that either. But then they may compensate that by doing extended playoffs instead, which I don't know. Depends on how many teams. If half of the teams in each league make it, it's not really an interesting playoffs. It's
No,
like the NBA where the regular season doesn't even matter at this point.
a lot of unanswered questions, but hopefully we will get some clarity in the coming days and weeks, and we get baseball back on our screens and in person once again.
Absolutely. But yeah, guys, that was episode 41, the Dirk Nowitzki episode, the European Fader episode. We hope you guys enjoyed. Peace out.